Remember when Trump said,
America is also a free nation. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship.
CBS is canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Amid pressure from the Trump-aligned FCC, Kimmel's show will be off the air.
he lied, and he's not stopping.
You have evening shows, and all they do is hit Trump. They're not allowed to do that.
Trump wants to control what you see so he can control what you think.
I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight, and the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever. And also, selfishly, I am a person who gets a lot of threats. I get many ugly and scary threats against my life, my wife, my kids, my coworkers because of what I choose to say. And I know those threats don't come from the kind of people on the right who I know and love. So that's what I wanted to say on that subject. But I don't want to make this about me because, and I know this is what people say when they make things about them, but I really don't. This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this. You almost have to feel sorry for him. He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
Huge, absolutely huge. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at YouTube views, Jimmy Kimmel Live video views. The 6-month median, the median video only gets 240,000. Look how many views Tuesday night's monologue already has. 6.7 million. That's over 25 times as large as the median Jimmy Kimmel video normally gets. And I was looking, it is by far the largest video in at least 6 months. So if Donald Trump's idea was to give Jimmy Kimmel more press and more viewership, he absolutely did so. Of course, I don't think that is what Donald Trump intended to do.
Do you have any sense beyond YouTube of just how big his appeal may have been? Like, a lot of people wanted to clearly watch this from all facets of, not just in America, but you know, this is from around the world.
That's exactly right. So we got this 6.7 million. I will note that that number is up already about 700,000 from the last time I checked, which was about an hour ago. But take a look here. Record high Google searches last night for what time is Jimmy Kimmel on? You wouldn't have to check what time Jimmy Kimmel was on if you were a regular viewer. The reason that people were checking what time Jimmy Kimmel was on, because he was potentially pulling in a lot of viewers who normally didn't watch. And get this, it was up over 10,000%.
There's a tradition of meddling where they shouldn't under many administrations, but it wasn't always like this. There was an FCC commissioner back in 2022 who worked under Joe Biden who was spot on. He wrote, President Biden is right. Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw more people into the discussion. That's why people in influential positions have always targeted it for censorship. You know who wrote that? FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr, who later was appointed chairman of the FCC. Can you imagine? This country has become so authoritarian, the Germans are like, come here, come loose.
Plus, the breaking news tonight, Democrats securing the final push they need to force a vote on the release of the Epstein files. As Democrat Adelita Grijalva wins the special election in Arizona's 7th congressional district.
It's the ultimate fear is that you no longer lose you no longer have your democracy to be able to make change peacefully.
He knows he's going to lose the midterm elections. He's underwater, and he's weak in every category. Donald Trump is weakness masquerading as strength. He's weak in every key category. That's a fact, and I think it's an important fact. He knows that. And that's why he dialed not for votes, but he dialed for seats. He said he's, quote unquote, entitled to 5 seats. Called Greg Abbott, who was totally supine, said, yes, sir, and gave him the 5 seats in Texas to change the maps. He did the same thing in Indiana, Missouri. He's doing the same thing in Florida, likely Ohio, and we'll see what happens in Utah. And Democrats, we're going to hold hands, talk about the way the world should be, say it's just so unfair, maybe write an op-ed. Meanwhile, this guy's consolidating power. And so for us, we decided to push back and fight back. But it's not just that. That's the tip of the iceberg, rigging the midterm election because he knows otherwise he'll lose. When we kicked off the campaign, and this is important for people to understand, when we kicked it off at the Democracy Center in Los Angeles, he sent out ICE and Border Patrol to intimidate folks from walking in to our event. He ended up arresting this poor soul that was just trying to sell strawberries as collateral damage to intimidate us. That is a preview, Stephen, of things to come in voting booths and polling places across this country. He federalized 4,000 National Guard in my state. He still has hundreds of federalized National Guard. He sent the United States Marines, not overseas, but to an American city, 700 active duty Marines. He sent the military to American cities to police American citizens. And the ICE issue is alarming beyond words. It is the largest private domestic army of its type, police force anywhere in the world. He'll have 30,000 people that increasingly appear to be swearing an oath of office to him, not the Constitution of the United States. Again, wake up to what's going on in this country.
I could be wrong, it's so bad it feels alive. Mom's coming home. Crazy, but that's how it goes. Many people living slow. Maybe it's not
Colorado's 8th district, Amprius Technologies canceled plans to construct a $190 million battery plant in Brighton, Colorado. In that same district, actually, another company, VSK Energy, canceled plans due to the Trump administration, canceled their plans to build solar panels, and they scratched a $250 million investment and up to 900 jobs in that same district. In Georgia 12, an EV plant was canceled due to the Trump administration and DOE's freezing of the EV charging program. Registered Georgia has a population of 157 people. They lost out on 166 jobs. They lost more jobs than they have people in that town because of the cancellation and war on renewable energy and clean energy here. In that same district, a copper foil manufacturing plant went bankrupt as a result of these rollbacks, and Augusta, Georgia lost out on 350 jobs. And I mean, the list goes on. In South Carolina, 250 jobs when a construction of an EV plant in Florence was halted due to DOE's freezing of funds. I mean, we could go on. In Michigan 10th, 167 jobs were lost after $50 million worth of investment. These are all freezes in renewable and clean energy construction and development projects. This is an industry that has been a source of jobs and growth. This administration, the Trump administration, is destroying the American economy, destroying American jobs. 91,000 jobs in this sector alone. I have one simple question. In these towns and areas, what is the DOE's plan to replace those jobs in those affected areas?
I'll say this is beyond the scope of what I'm prepared to testify to today. I'd be happy to take the question for the record in regard to the analysis that you cited here in regard to job loss.
So in your view, you're the general counsel for the Department of Energy, that's correct?
Acting.
Acting. And in all that you've seen, have you seen any effort to replace these jobs that are being canceled by the administration?
I have not. I'm not sure that would come my way.
All right, so we're out here right across from the Capitol, and look what I found. 2 statues. What are these statues, one might ask? It is of Donald Trump and his friend Jeffrey Epstein. Look at that. 2 best friends just living their best life. Let's take a closer look at this beautiful memorial to the friendship of Trump and Epstein. There's a plate right here. It says, in honor of Friendship Month, we celebrate the long-lasting bond between President Donald J. Trump and his closest friend, Jeffrey Epstein. Voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything. So at the foot of Trump's statue, we have this plate. And then at the foot of Epstein's statue, we have this plate. It's kind of like a dialogue between the two. Of course, Donald has signed his. And you can see the crowds that are gathering out here to take a look at this wonderful memorial to Friendship Month, Trumpstein. Let's ask some people what they think about it. So what are your thoughts on Friendship Month statue?
I think it's pretty crazy that they put it up here, but I think it's funny.
And you?
I also think it's funny. I think it's quite a statement, and I enjoy it.
What do you think the statement is?
I don't know yet. I'm going to have to reflect, but I think it's powerful.
You?
I think it's powerful as well. I think it shows, it definitely has to do something with the Epstein files, but just having such a big statement in the middle of the mall, I think is, it really says something.
What about you? What do you think of the Friendship Month statue here?
Well, I think it's really appropriate. I mean, it shows the true love of 2 horrible individuals.
And do you think that Donald Trump might see this?
No, his goons will hide it from him.
And do you think that we should release the files?
Absolutely, release them, 100%.
All right, what do you think about the statue?
Hey, I want to know, what do you think about the statue?
Jim Acosta!
Hey, wait a minute.
Think they're ever going to release the files?
Fuck no. They're not going to
Why
release
not?
the files. I think that he knows there's too much, that might damage him just a little bit. Understands that if he releases these files, he's putting himself out there, and he's not going to do that.
Agreed.
I mean, what do you think? You think he's going to release them?
I think that at this point, he could release them and his people wouldn't care. I think at this point, they're too busy making Charlie Kirk a martyr. And
release the Epstein files.
Exactly.
While in the shitter, yes.
Hot takes with Jim Acosta.
Here we are.
What if it was you yesterday? What if it was you that passed away and everyone was clapping and cheering and celebrating? How would your family feel? If you had a wife and children, or a husband and children, or family, friends, period.
You know, you're right. When a human being is murdered, when their life is cut short, when that human being is a father with a family, it's so unthinkably cruel that a person could get on the internet, a person with a platform, a person with an audience could get on the internet and say something like, I don't care that he's dead. He's not a hero. He's a scumbag, and he shouldn't be celebrated. I'm talking about George Floyd, by the way. George Floyd was a father who was murdered on camera by a white police officer. He was choked to death for 8 minutes. And Charlie Kirk went on his show and said, he's not a hero, he's a scumbag. We shouldn't be celebrating him. Oh, where'd the sad music go? Where'd your sympathy go? Disappeared the moment I said the name George Floyd, didn't it? Your warped conservative brain just went, oh yeah, I don't care about that guy. I completely agree with Charlie Kirk. You don't care about what his family experienced, what they continue to experience for the last 5 years, as all of conservative America says. That guy got what he deserved. He deserved to be murdered in the street. Let's be honest, this is the first time in like 4 decades that you've even pretended to care about someone who was killed by gun violence. And the only reason you are even pretending to have a heart right now is because it was a white, straight, Christian man. There was another high school shooting in Colorado the same day that Charlie Kirk died. You know that, right? And you're not sitting in your car with the sad music in the background going, can you imagine if you were the person who died in a high school shooting the same day that Charlie Kirk was killed? And no one cared about the fact that you were killed at school because they were all too busy talking about Charlie fucking Kirk. Can you imagine? 70 Palestinians were murdered in Gaza the day that Charlie Kirk died. Charlie Kirk said, Palestine's not a real place. Palestinians aren't a real people. They don't deserve to exist. Israel has every right to wipe them off the face of the earth. People are killed in front of their families quite literally every single day in Gaza. Children killed in front of their parents. Parents killed in front of their children. And you're not sitting in your car with sad music in the background making TikToks where you're pleading with us to care about that because you don't care about that. Charlie Kirk said Luigi Mangione should be publicly executed for what he did to Brian Thompson. He said, you don't just get to kill a guy in the street because you got a premium you didn't like, but that's not why Luigi Mangione did what he did. It wasn't because his premium was just a little too expensive. I really need you to understand this. Brian Thompson was a man who was responsible for literally millions of deaths. He built his personal fortune on a mountain of corpses. And Charlie Kirk said that Luigi Mangione should be publicly executed for killing that man. Charlie Kirk firmly believed that Brian Thompson did not deserve any consequences whatsoever for his actions. And the only reason Charlie thought that is because Brian Thompson, like him, was a white, straight, Christian, male capitalist with kids. You ever stop and think about all the kids who lost their parents because of United Healthcare? All of the parents who lost their kids? Probably not, right? There is no crime a white, straight, Christian male capitalist could commit that is vile enough, heinous enough, cruel enough that it would make conservatives think that person deserves consequences. Case in point, the cult leader himself, the president, Donald J. Trump. For the last 10 years, conservative America has made it nauseatingly clear that there is absolutely nothing that man could ever do that would disqualify him from having their unequivocal support. And I mean absolutely nothing. They're all watching the Epstein story unfold the same way we are. They're all watching him go from being on the campaign trail saying, if you elect me, I'll release the Epstein list, to saying it's on Pam Bondi's desk, to saying it doesn't exist, to saying it's a Democrat hoax created by Obama, to saying it does exist, but if you push for it to be released, we'll take that as an act of war against the administration, to saying, actually, I was acting as an FBI informant. More news on that later. And they know that what all of this means is he's definitely on that fucking list. He's definitely guilty, and they don't care. They're just like, that's our guy. Whatever weird lie he wants to tell next, we're 100% behind him, and we hope he never dies. Get wrecked, libs! Conservative Americans are the most deeply unwell, morally unhinged, and deranged group of people on the entire planet. It's so disturbing to watch them going around the internet for the last few days pretending to be normal people who have a normal human reaction to senseless, brutal gun violence. And the audacity of these people to try to lecture us about having a conscience and having a heart and having some sympathy for the victims, as though we haven't been sharing the planet with them the whole time, as though we haven't witnessed their callous, shoulder-shruggy response to violent, brutal, senseless gun violence anytime it happens to someone who's not in their immediate in-group. He's got kids, they scream, as though we haven't been watching them gleefully buying concentration camp merch to celebrate people being ripped away from their kids and put in concentration camps. As though we didn't just watch Ron DeSantis have the memorial for the Pulse nightclub shooting victims painted over. And then we didn't just watch as activists came and repainted the memorial and conservative Americans said, that's vandalism, take them to jail. Throw them in alligator Alcatraz for the high crime of memorializing the dead. It's so crazy to witness the sheer volume of conservatives who are cosplaying normal human grief right now and saying things like, when was the last time someone from the right carried out an act of senseless violence like this against someone on the left? And we all immediately go, Melissa Hortman is a Democrat senator from Minnesota who was just murdered in her home with her husband and her dog by a right-wing lunatic. This just happened. Not only is it crazy that you are seemingly unaware that that happened, but I can also see that as I'm saying her name, as I'm telling you it happened, your brain is actively deleting it because she is not a what? She is not a white, straight, Christian, capitalist male. Get the entire fuck out of here. Every last one of you.
It's time for the Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The Trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. It's gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the Trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the Trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. Trucker John.
All right, test, 1, 2, 3. Hopefully you can hear me. Let's see. Let's see if it's coming through loud and clear. Just waiting for it to come through. All right, test, 1, 2, 3. Hopefully you can hear me. Let's see. All right, I think my microphone is working. Oh, I forgot to get my watch. Oh well, no watch today, but I do see it's 11:23 a.m. Pacific time zone here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. I think we're about 90 degrees. Supposed to get to 96 today. Thanks for being here. I'm wearing my Boston Brian shirt. I guess he was on earlier, so there we go. I'm not able to scroll to the top. I think Carrie C was first today. It doesn't really matter, though. I know, guys. It doesn't really. It's not a big deal. Who's first? Okay, it's just something I say because that's who I see is first, and that's where I start usually. But today I'm not able to. I'm not. The chat won't scroll to the top. But it's no big deal, guys. It's not it's just a little fun thing that people do. But here's where I'm starting off in the chat, where Mr. Spock says, "Laughing out loud, I'm baked." So if you can remember where that was, how many minutes ago that was, approximately, Just so you know, that's where I'm starting off in the chat today. But before I go to the chat, I just want to say welcome back, Jimmy Kimmel. He's back in a big way. I thought it was very touching, some of the words he had to say. He started crying, and I started crying, and it's, I'm not crying, you're crying, and it was funny, and I'm glad he's back. And fuck you, Donald Trump. So anyhow, but let me answer some of this question here. Fancy says, "Can you give me the names of famous NASCAR drivers?" Now it's skipping again. Now Mr. Spock says Dale Earnhardt is the most famous. No, he was not 70s and 80s. Dale Earnhardt was more like, I guess, maybe mid 80s to the 90s. He was killed in 2000s. I forget, earlier 2000s. But yeah, Earnhardt was more, late 80s and 90s, and but for the 60s and 70s, Richard Petty, his nickname is the King. Okay, that gives you a little hint. Richard Petty was the Dale Earnhardt of the 60s and 70s. He was the Jeff Gordon of the 60s and 70s. He was the Jimmy Johnson of the 60s and 70s. So you whatever you're doing, Fancy, you can't, if you're doing a NASCAR for the 60s and 70s, you cannot leave out Richard Petty. All right? Richard Petty is the king. Then there was Bobby and Donnie Allison. They were really big, the Allison brothers. AJ Foyt was big with NASCAR. Buddy Baker, or Bubba Baker? No, Buddy Baker. I think it was Buddy Baker. It was a big one. As far as racetracks, of course, Daytona. Daytona is in Florida. That's Daytona Beach. That's Florida. I don't know why you don't know that. Other big ones, Bristol, Talladega. A lot of them are just named after cities or states, like Texas Motor Speedway, is big. I don't know, but the biggest one is probably Daytona and maybe Talladega or something. So yeah, that should give you a start. But just remember, Richard Petty, if you're making another one of your really great videos that you make, you got to include Richard Petty for that era. Anyhow, the chat keeps moving and it disappears and I can't see. So I skipped a lot of stuff. Jim Basis, Trucker John, hi TJ. I think I was first in chat. Like I said, I saw Carrie C first, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Please do not make this into an issue. Okay, so now where am I at? I'm at Lucky Minute. I see Lucky Minute here. Jim the Base, Mad Max, Slava Ukraini is here. I don't know why the chat does this sometimes, where it just starts rolling. Because what I do is I put it where I just stop it, so that I can read it, and then I scroll. But sometimes it has a mind of its own, and it just starts going. And then once those things go off the screen, they're gone. I can't go back, and it's kind of frustrating because I'm trying to read something, and then it disappears. So anyhow, I see Jolie's here. Hey Jolie, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Mr. Spock. Of course, live long and prosper. I'm kind of going fast because I'm afraid of the thing's going to disappear in front of my eyes, in front of my very eyes. Lucky Minute says the comments on my vids. Stephen Sayre says over 300 million people died from watching Kimmel last night. I'm not sure what that means. Some, I don't know what kind of cryptic thing that is about. Maybe you might want to just come out and say whatever it is you're trying to say. Again, the chat's moving pretty good, and it just disappears. Well, now it stopped. So now I'm mid thread of everything. Now I'm mid thread on everything. So AM is here. Good to see AM. Marsha Jones is here. Hey, Marsha, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Marsha says, didn't Don Jr. get Gavin sloppy seconds. Yeah, that was Gargoyle. Kimberly Gargoyle. Alvin Stubitz here. Hey, Alvin, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Janet Bay says, Trucker John, football talk today? Sure, why not? I don't care. We talk about everything, just pretty much. Look a bit at Hal. Yeah, I came across that. Hal, I think Summer posted that, his girlfriend, and I came across that, and I thought, that's what Hal did last night. If anyone was wondering why there was no Hal Sparks show, it's because that's what Hal was doing. He was out there singing his heart out, doing the an Ozzy tribute type of a deal. Mr. Spock, look at his hands going, and then it's gone. So, and go Hal. Lynn says Hal pants are painted on. That was not Nerd Halen, Steven. That was, the band that they put together at the Whiskey A Go Go in Hollywood. A bunch of musicians there, and they jam out. That's what he does like every month for the last few years. That's what he's been doing every Tuesday, or just about. Or I guess it's one Tuesday. It's just once a month, right? Yeah. So once a month on a Tuesday, they do that. Roxanne said, "This is the first time I've heard Hal singing." Well, Roxanne, if you would peruse through my videos and on my channel, I've gone to at least 2 or 3 Nerd Halen concerts where I put them on. I taped them and put them on my channel. If you want to check it out, Nerd Halen, just go look through. I have a whole bunch of playlists on my channel. I have over how many thousands of videos? I forget. We're almost at 1 million views, guys. 1 million views on the tiny old Trucker John channel. I think that's more than Boston Brian has. I wonder how many views Boston Brian has. I bet you I've got way more than Boston Brian. It's not a competition, though. It's not a competition. Alvin Stoop, anyone watch Kimmel last night? I think a whole bunch of people did. Owen's here. Hey, Owen, good to see you. Thanks for popping on into the old driver's lounge. Good to see you in here. AM says this leader is a wrecking ball. Yeah, this leader, this president, he's fucking everything up. He's fucking everything up, man. You would think at some point all of the Republicans, like the business owners and the billionaires that are losing money now because of this motherfucker, would all start getting out I don't care if it's a whisper campaign or whatever, to impeach this motherfucker. Owen says, I watched the monologue, have not had time yet to watch the entire show. Yeah, I didn't watch the entire show. I just watched those clips and stuff. Steve Sarah says, I don't think Kimmel held back on Trump last night. Yeah, he got a few zingers in there from what I saw. Gino Maynard says, why is Patel releasing pics of Dallas snipers ammo? Dallas sniper ammo when Tyler used the engravings on his ammo as a diversionary tactic for Kirk. I don't know. I don't even know anything about the Dallas sniper. Is there another shooting that I missed? It's like you barely blink and there's another shooting. Fancy says, I love that I thought it was fake. I'm mid-thread. The chat was moving so fast and disappearing that I'm mid-thread on things and I don't know what you guys are talking about. By the way, we got 43 watching, only 36 thumbs ups, guys. We are operating like Republicans right now. Please don't put me through this. We don't want to be at a deficit. let's get to at least a balanced budget. So yeah, 43 watch and only 36 thumbs up. So let's hit the thumbs up button if you would. Get us to at least a balanced budget, like the good Democrats. I think most of us are. Roxanne79 says the statues are great, so funny. You know the ketchup hit the walls. Abstinaminofen. I think the only issue I had about that is that those girls. Well, I guess they put him on the spot when he was asked, like, he asked them, like, what is the significance of this or whatever. And the significance is that it's illustrating that these two fuckers have been friends, were friends for a long, long time. And so, they were hanging out. So it's pretty obvious, should be pretty obvious that Donald Trump was partaking of all the shit that Epstein had to offer. Aim says the statue is genius. Owen says, did he scratch them on with a knife? Crazy, you shouldn't tap on live rounds with a sharp object. I think they have little engraving pins or whatever, not pins, but like has a, you can kind of write with them, a little engraving thing. Apparently that's, been done before. Roxanne79 says an innocent person would release them, talking about the Epstein files. So obviously only a guilty person would hide them. And that is kind of Donald Trump's own logic when he talks about, in the past, when he's talked about, Hillary Clinton or Biden, it's like, or anyone, who pled the fifth and something. Again, just showing what a huge hypocrite Donald Trump is. Damon Dog says hello to everybody. Hello, Damon Dog, the big dog. Good to see old Damon Dog in the chat. This chat scroll thing has finally kind of settled down. It was just I skipped a lot and missed a lot, and so, like I said, I'm mid-thread on a lot of the stuff already. Stephen Sayer says if Epstein files were released, I think Trump von Schützenpants would have a massive stroke. He's almost there already. He's in massive decline. Every time I see him, he looks worse and worse and worse. I know we all age, and I know I'm no beauty, but Trump's aging is like on hyperspace or something right now. He is on a fast downward spiral. William's here. Hey, William, good to see you. William says hello from Philly. Uh-oh. Philly, my nemesis. You guys beat my Rams, still stinging from that. And if the Dodgers, depending on how they do in the playoffs, will probably be meeting up with Philly at some point in the baseball postseason. And Philly looks pretty tough. Pretty tough team. Let's see. Mad Max says great vid. Thank you, Mad Max. AM says, referring to the intro, no one was clapping and cheering at the man's death. Yeah. Well, that was, a misinformed maggot, probably. That girl in the car. Fancy says, who is this guy? I think you guys were talking about the very last clip I had. That guy is very, very good and very, very funny. And I haven't seen him in years. I think it was like My Pal Austin or something like that. I don't know if you could find him by putting that in the search. My pal Austin, I think. I haven't seen him in years, and then today he popped up in my feed because Occupy Democrats posted that, and I think the guy's great. And I remember he was so hilarious. I think during the first Trump campaign, in the way he points things out and he uses, satire and sarcasm and everything to bring out these points, and he's very, very good. And I think so. I like him a lot. I think he's really good. So if you want to check him out, I think it's My Pal Austin or something like that. Marshall Jones, he said Joe Biden should get the death penalty. Yeah, talking about Charlie Kirk, some more other. I think that was Charlie Kirk, right? Some more shit that Charlie Kirk said. Owen says, it sounds like Charlie Kirk was into vigilante justice, but I do not condone such ideas. Nick Rich was here, like number 23. Hey, Nick Rich, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. I do appreciate you for being here and hanging out with us. Mad Mac, who is this dude? Anyone know? Like I said, all I remember, I think it was My Pal Austin. And I haven't seen him for years. It's probably been 5 years since I've seen one of his videos. But I always loved his videos. Always. It's kind of funny how someone just sort of disappears and falls off the radar or whatever, and then all of a sudden they pop back in. Elvis Stoops says Vance is blaming Democrats for shooting at ICE facility. Yeah, and before the dust even clears, they won't even wait for any type of investigation, right? And it's just automatically just go to blaming the left for everything. Bethany's here. Bethany, our SR Ball. Hey, Bethany, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in to the old driver's lounge. Roxanne, 221. Yeah, I'm about 20 minutes behind right now. We got Karen Ames is here. Hey, Karen, good to see you. Thanks for coming on into the old driver's lounge. DPD 5844 says, has anyone heard about the 1,200 men who were detained at Alligator Auschwitz that have gone missing? How in the fuck did 1,200 human beings go missing? This is amoral that no one is reporting on this. I did not hear that. I've heard just little bits and pieces that people have died in there. I don't know if it was 1,200, but I don't think it was 1,200 from what I heard. But a bunch of people have died in there because of just the conditions are so awful. Yeah, this does need to be reported more. This does need to be put in the spotlight more. I agree. Maybe I'll look into it and put it in my intro. The old Trucker John intro. I guess I've got to carry all the news that the big boys won't do. Squirrel Girl's here. Hey, Squirrel Girl. Thanks for coming on in. It says, hello, chat and Trucker John. Going to lurk and listen in a bit. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Nick Rich, 11:23. So, yeah, I'm exactly 20 minutes behind. Damon Dog says, Shady JD Prance is in Concord today. I'm staying home. They have miles blocked off. Josh is here. Hey, Josh, good to see you. Josh is lurking and listening again. All righty. Well, thanks for popping in, making your presence known. I appreciate it. Fancy, first is first. Yeah, first is first. But still, we don't have to make a big deal out of it. Owen says 249% humidity. Hey, Invisible River Ranch, still baked. Owen says I lied at 70% humidity, so not quite as bad as you thought. Lynn says Kerry Seas was first in the chat today. Yeah, I did mention that. The only reason I was saying it's not that big of a deal because there is a certain person who wants to email me or Gmail me or whatever and make make comments about it and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just trying to tell you it's not that big of a deal. Who's first? Who's second? I only mention it just because I don't know. I just mentioned it. Maybe I shouldn't mention it from now on. I don't know. Karen Ames says, just got home from my doctor's appointment. Well, I hope everything went well. Damon Dog, everything here is named for Earnhardt. Yeah, and he wasn't 60s and 70s. He was, I think, late 80s, and then the 90s was his big time. I guess 80s and 90s. Because Jeff Gordon was really big. He sort of passed Earnhardt in the 90s. But if you're looking for 60s and 70s, number one, without a doubt, the King, Richard Petty. You got to have him in there. Like I said, Donnie Allison, Bobby Allison, Buddy Baker, AJ Foyt. Because AJ was one of those ones that he drove NASCAR, stock cars. He did open wheel racing. He did everything. He did Baja 500 or Baja 1000. Off-roading. AJ Foyt did everything. But he was big. He was a big stock car guy. Dan Gurney, Dan Gurney. How could I forget Dan Gurney? Dan Gurney was like my favorite in the 60s and 70s. So fancy. I hope you're writing this down. Okay, number one, the King, Richard Petty. Bobby Allison, Donnie Allison, Buddy Baker, AJ Foyt, and my personal favorite, Dan Gurney. Please, Fancy, if you're making a video, you got to put those guys in there. Especially Richard Petty and Dan Gurney. And if you look up Dan Gurney, you'll see that he was a really good driver. It's not just like some fringe driver that I liked. Dan Gurney was one of the top guys, top drivers. So I hope you wrote that down, Fancy, or something, or clipped it. There's Sandy Foltz. Hello, Sandy. Good to see you. Bear for Bear Loves here. Hey, Bear for Bear Loves says Richard Petty was the King, right? And that was also his nickname, the King. I believe he's still alive, by the way. I think he's like, it might be, if he's still alive, he's probably like in his 90s. I think he's still alive. And then he sired a whole bunch of sons and grandsons that all became race car drivers and were pretty good in their own right, but never to the level of the King. Oh, the King. Oh, man. Bless my little soul, my little heart. Alvin Stu Petty won 200 races. Yeah, at the time, I think he had the most, and then Earnhardt passed him up, and then Jeff Gordon, I think, passed up Earnhardt. And to tell the truth, I haven't really watched NASCAR all that much, maybe for like the last 10 years. And so I don't know if Jimmy Johnson, I know Jimmy Johnson passed up Gordon as far as like the Cup, the championship, the Cup championships, because he won like 8 in a row, and then I think everyone was like, "Wish this guy would retire," and then he retired. But in terms of total wins, I don't remember if Jimmy Johnson passed up Gordon or not, or I don't know, because I kind of fell out of watching it. Owen Wright turned at 200 miles an hour for 4 hours. It's more than that, though. It's strategy, it's drafting, it's knowing when to try to pass. There's a lot more to it than just left turn. I hate that criticism. I've always hated that criticism. It's just someone who doesn't like the sport, and so they want to nag about it. If you don't like the sport, fine, move on and watch something else. Owen says, my little cousin got hooked on NASCAR after Days of Thunder. There's pit strategies. There's a lot to it. It's more than just than that. I really hate that criticism. This isn't who you think it is? Oh, yes, it is. I am a big believer in the iron law of oligarchy. Oh, there you go. Bonnie Thompson's here. Hey, Bonnie Thompson, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Nick Rich, 11:30. So I'm only 19 minutes behind now. MJ Daniel, Evelyn Woodspeed chat reading. Yeah. Hey, MJ. By the way, good to see you. MJ Daniel from up there in Washington State. Gina Maynard says, newly elected Democrat, Adelita Grijalva. I did post that in my intro. Would be the last vote needed for the discharge petition to release the Epstein files. Hopefully, no walkbacks. That's what I'm afraid of. You know, like if we can trust, is it Nancy Mace and Boebert and Marge? I think Massey is pretty reliable, but I don't know. Damon Dog says, to be fair, JD Vance coming here makes perfect sense. North Carolina does have some awesome furniture manufacturers. But yeah, Fancy, she did win. It was in the intro. I want you watching the intro. I'm just kidding. Roxanne79 says, why was there no Hal show today? I knew he was off yesterday and tomorrow and his birthday, and he might be a little earlier. Well, he was, because he's traveling. He lives in Vegas, you know, driving down to LA, doing a show, and then either coming back late at night or coming back early in the morning. I'm willing to cut the guy some slack. You know, it's like a 4-hour drive or whatever from LA to Vegas. So I give him some slack. Cut him some slack. DPD 5844 says, my apologies for stating Gavin Newsom would be on Kimmel last night. Newsom was on Colbert. Yeah, he was on Colbert. Jim the Base says, I just had a chat conversation with a friend of 40 plus years about Charlie Kirk's being all about Jesus, the Bible, and truth through God, then told me his daughter married 17 weeks pregnant. No. Well, you know, it's not his fault. I don't think. Karen Ames, he's still traveling to his dad's. Oh, is he? Oh, is that where he's going? He's going back east? Okay, I take back everything I said then. Luck Dragon, every word Aussie, and then see it disappears. I did need to read faster or something. AM says, congrats on your million. I don't have it yet. I watched Kimmel last night on YouTube. We're at like 952,000 and counting of views, which is way more than Boston Brian. But if you look at how many views, total views, like someone like Hal Sparks has, because I did look, I think Hal Sparks has like 40 million views or something like that. Nick Rich, of the base, some folks surprise you even years later. Bear for Bear Love, Newsom torch Trump. He always does. Newsom always torches him. And rightfully so. Mad Max says, yep, 3 detainees were taken out. When did this happen? Bear for Bear Love, catch up, dude. Why are you going all caps and yelling at me? That's ridiculous. Jolie's posted the Nerd Halen concert. There you go. Roxanne, if you want to check out, and you can see Hal singing. Oh, and if you're not first, you're last, Ricky Bobby. Damon Dog shooting at ICE facility in Dallas. Who the fuck writes on bullets? Weirdos who think that they can shoot people. And Jolie's got another Nerd Halen concert. Thank you, Jolie. That's very awesome of you. So yeah, if you haven't heard Nerd Halen or Hal singing, then there's a couple places there for you. Now, some of the quality might not be so great, though. Some of the sound quality is probably the greatest, unfortunately. AM says, I truly feel for those I truly feel for these guys. They are so lost. Oh, you're talking about the friend that had the daughters who's got knocked up. I'm not sure what that has to do with Charlie Kirk and what he said about Charlie Kirk, but okay, whatever. MJ Daniel says every American should start demanding why the Republican Senate and Congress are allowing any of this with a midterm congressional election coming up. Phone their offices, email them, stand in front of their offices. And these congressional elections that are coming up, we're still a year away, man. I mean, I don't mean to be a Donnie Downer or whatever, but just think what Trump has already, how he's already fucked the country up so bad in just like 8 months. And we still have a fucking year to go before the elections. A fucking year. Oh my God. Oh my God. We gotta remain strong and vigilant. I know my body language is not one of being strong and vigilant right now, but my God, we got a whole year until the election. Over a year actually. We're still like 12. We're still like 14 months away. Walks 79 says, yes, TJ, there was Dallas ICE shooting where the shooter went into Homeland Security, ended up shooting and killing one and wounding two, and the shooter, one other inmate, was killed. Vance said, it's us. Yeah, and like I say, he couldn't even wait for the bodies to hit the ground before he starts blaming us. How about getting some freaking evidence or something? How about we do an investigation first? Luck Dragon says, my favorite fantasy team would be Denver Nuggets with a big fat marijuana leaf on their jerseys. Yeah, Karen Ames says, Trump also said only guilty people plead the fifth. And then how many times have we seen him go and plead the fifth? Hundreds and hundreds of times Donald Trump has pleaded the fifth. Just another example of what a huge lying hypocrite Donald Trump is. Blood Dragon, I love feminist. Invisible River Edge, you look marvelous. Marvelous. Nick Rich says the UN speech yesterday should be enough to invoke the 25th Amendment. I know, Nick. I was thinking the same thing. It's like, when's this 25th Amendment thing going to happen? It should be happening anytime now. Jenna the Base Instructor John, yes, we all age, but TJ, but you're still hot. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I did have the other night. I did have a carload, a cab load of beautiful young ladies who all were incredulous. Is that the word? Because we were in a conversation, and I told them that I'm turning 65 next month, or actually in a couple of weeks, and they could not believe. They said they could not believe I was 65. They said, "No way. You don't look a day over 64." No, they were like, "No way." They were just gushing about that I was lying, and there's no way I was 65 or even 64. And I was, just so so I got that. So I got that going for me. Karen Ames says now we'll have the 218 votes to force the release of the Epstein files. We also need to demand release of the Holman files. I agree. The Holman thing should, but I don't know. With a DOJ, a Trump DOJ, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. But I guess we could have, hearings on it. Congressional hearings. Now, when does this special election? So, I guess she takes office. It's not like, you don't have to wait till January. They'll probably be swearing her in like ASAP, right? Probably real soon. Doug G, more swearing, please. Catherine Real Talk says, hi, I'll work on that, Doug G. Catherine Real Hell Talk says, hi, everyone. Hi, TJ. Well, hello, Catherine. Good to see you. Thanks for being in here, by the way. Catherine says, there is a meme on Facebook that the huge box of Epstein files was what stopped the escalator. That's the escalator. His wife couldn't move in her heels fast enough. By the way, Kimmel was awesome. Yeah. That's funny. Roxanne Armfield this year says, Jim of the Base, laughing out loud. Rank has its privileges. Nevertheless, hello, dear colleague. I didn't know you guys were colleagues. Gina Maynard, Trump is aging like a raw milk in the sun. Karen Ames says, I only seen clips of the UN speech, but he needs to go just for that, if nothing else. We'll wipe him out. And I saw clips. I didn't watch the Charlie Kirk memorial. People keep calling it a funeral, unless they buried him in that stadium. It wasn't a funeral. That was a memorial service. But I saw some weird, Trump hugging Erica Kirk, and it was just weird and creepy. I think he tried to kiss her. He had a weird smile. It was just weird. Everything that man does is fucking weird. Owen says that Fox uses a filter to cover up the gigantic pores made visible by burnt sienna orange makeup. I'm no looker, but I'm also not running the world. And you're also not, it's not that running the world. It's all the shit that Trump says about other people's appearances. Trump has notoriously, been known for, mocking a handicapped reporter, for talking about pageant winners that look great, but he'll say they're fat. He comments on people's appearance all the time. That's why now, because he does that, that gives us free license to put it right back on him. Otherwise, it wouldn't be cool, I don't think. You know what I mean? You guys know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Invisible River Ranch says, man loves painting himself away. He does a pretty shitty job of it. I would have a little more respect for the guy if he just shaved his fucking head. I don't care. And just went out without makeup. Men don't need makeup. Just fucking own it, dude. Just own your fucking age. Not one bit of makeup is on me. And beautiful young women can't believe that I'm 65. Of course, it's dark, and I don't know how much of a good look they get at me, because three of them are sitting in the back seat and one was sitting in the front seat. I think they're just kind of seeing the back of my head. So, I guess from the back of my head, I look very youthful. See there? That's basically what they're seeing from the back seat. So, does this look like a 65-year-old's back of the head of a 65-year-old? See there? That's what they're seeing. If I turn around though, they're like, oh yeah, he's definitely turning 65. Bonnie Thompson said, hey, Bonnie, good to see you. Thanks for joining us in the Old Drivers Lounge today. Bonnie Thompson says, did anyone see the video of White House put out Presidential Walk of Fame and then disappeared? Sorry, I didn't see it. I did not see it, though. Fancy, that's a lot of people. A lot of people. Fancy, did you write it down? Richard Petty, the King, Bobby and Donnie Allison, Buddy Baker, AJ Foyt, and Dan Gurney. Did you write that down? I hope you did. Boy, the chat's moving. Luck Dragon was there. Karen Ames says they disappeared over 100 from what I heard today. See, I'm mid-thread now. The chat's moving so fast. I'm really mid-thread. But I guess ICE is disappearing people, probably. Maybe that's what that's about. AM says, I heard 600 out of 1,200 are missing at Alligator Alcatraz. We're getting all kinds of numbers, folks. All kinds of numbers. We're all over the place with our numbers. But all I will agree with or tell you is that the Alligator Alcatraz bullshit is bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit as far as like having it and sending people there. And I'm pretty sure people have died in that fucking place. That's being reported. I don't know the number, but a lot of people have died just from the conditions, the horrid conditions. I mean, this is what Trump is turning America into. And again, projection, because remember how he talks about shithole countries and, you know, all that kind of stuff? He's turning our country into a shithole country in 8 short little months. How to turn your once great country into a shithole country by Donald Trump. Instead of MAGA, it should be, hey, once great country. OGC. We're the OGC. We're the OGC. Yeah, living in the OGC. The once great country. Nick Rich says, half the fun. Oh, disappeared. Invisible Ranch, Alcatraz is just a welcome center for outsiders. Catherine Rilla Talk says 1,200 from 1,800 missing, allegedly. Boy, the numbers, you guys are, could we nail down these numbers? They're all over the place. Karen Ames says, when President Stephen Miller is in charge, I think we will find out more are missing. We had a detainee die in Adelanto. I didn't know Adelanto was that bad. I've driven by Adelanto many times. I didn't know the Adelanto prison was. I do know that they've used that as a holding facility over the years for immigrants, detaining immigrants and things of this nature. I did know that. I am from the high desert, so I do know all that shit. I do know a little bit about that. Catherine Real Talk says, me, pick me. Oh, I got my hand raised. Just kidding. Not sure what that was about. Okay, so Jolie trying to come in with some numbers here. It says approximately 800 detainees showed no record on the federal ICE online database, and over 400 were listed with a note saying, call ICE for details, all from Alligator concentration camp. Yeah, it's crazy. Karen Ames says, I have 3 fractures in my back and a special bone disease. Have to start taking shots in my stomach. Ugh. Well, hope you get better soon. I mean, I hope you get through that as well as possible. Nick Rich, Mario Andretti. Yeah, Mario Andretti was more Indy and open wheel racing, but he did do some NASCAR, I guess, right? But he definitely was not a big NASCAR stock car driver. He was more Indy, like the open wheel cars. That was his deal, and he won Indy, and that was a big thing. Sandy Foltz says, TJ, maybe you should set up YouTube where no one can't see who. That doesn't work that way, Sandy, and it doesn't matter. Like I said, it's not. It does not matter. It should not be a big issue. It does not matter who was first. Okay, please stop. It's no big deal. I mean, there's always going to be someone who's first. You can't avoid someone not being first. Bethany Arba says, I love Richard Petty. Hey, Kimchi's here. Hey, good to see Kimchi, the goddess Kimchi. Thanks for coming on in. I appreciate you. Luck Dragon says, there was a very pivotal time in our country 20 years ago when stop and frisk was outlawed in the country. Welcome to 20 years ago. Yeah, and that all came from New York, right? I remember that was a big thing in New York. New York City. New York City. Yeah, I see Aaron West is here, so we are at full mod capacity. Thank you to Jolie and Aaron for being here. I do appreciate you. Karen Ames says Richard Petty is awesome and still alive. Yeah. I just wonder how old he is. Is he in his 90s now? Probably, because I mean, gosh, you know, he was racing back in the 60s and 70s. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how old he is, but he's a good guy. Seems like a good guy, a good old boy. Uh-oh. He's probably a maggot for all we know, right? Odds are he's a maggot, but I don't know. I haven't watched NASCAR stuff in a long time, and so as far as I know, he's just the king. Invisible River Rat says that he's 88 years old. All right then. Hey, 88, still going. That's good. That's cool. That's pretty cool. Luck Dragon says no one is talking about how our forefathers were so cynical that they knew the problem would never get solved. What problem? I mean, that's a little vague. Please stop being so cryptic. What I mean, which well, and plus I am mid thread because I've missed a lot of the chats were skipping along, so I am mid thread. Karen Ames says Jimmy Johnson was my favorite. Jimmy Johnson was amazing. I mean, I thought Jeff Gordon was good, and they were teammates, right? And I mean, Jeff Gordon was like my favorite, and Jeff Gordon won a lot of races and a lot of the Cup race, the championship, because it used to be called Winston Cup, right? Way back in the day. And then and then it was Sprint, or I guess a Sprint Cup. And then so I don't know, I just call it the Cup because they started changing sponsorships. But anyhow, Jeff Gordon won a bunch of championships, but then Jimmy Johnson got going. I think he won didn't he win the whole shebang, guys? This is like the World Series, and if you're not a race fan, this is like winning the World Series or winning a Super Bowl. This is the championship, the NASCAR championship. Jimmy Johnson won it. I want to say it was like 7 years in a row. 7 years, that's unprecedented. Richard Petty never did that. Earnhardt never did that. Jeff Gordon never did that. No racer has ever won that many in a row, let alone just winning that many. I mean, I don't think anyone even has won as many championships as Jimmy Johnson did. It's amazing, and I think he would have kept winning if he hadn't retired. I don't think he was forced out, but I bet you there was just a lot of grumblings and a lot of sort of hints and I think he just retired because he felt bad that no one could beat him. I really think he won 7 or maybe 8 in a row. I think he could have won 3 or 4 more in a row. Amazing! It's one of the most amazing feats of professional racing, I think, ever. Alvin Stoop says wrong. Petty has the most. The most what? The most wins? No, I don't think so. I guess we could look it up, but I'm pretty sure Earnhardt passed him and then Gordon passed him. We're talking about total. We're talking about Cup wins, like or are you talking about championships? I'm talking because I've been talking about back and forth between both things. So I don't know. Lucky Minute says I did the graphics for Valvoline in '99 for the trucks and race cars when they raced. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Mr. Spock says, don't forget the great NASCAR driver, Ricky Bobby. Oh, yeah. He made a great comeback. Invisible River Ranch, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and Jimmy Johnson hold the record for the most Cup Series championships with 7 titles each. Okay, so 7 titles each, and Jimmy Johnson won all his in a row. No one did that. And like I said, if he hadn't retired, I bet you he would have won a few more. And I think he just retired because I think he felt bad. I don't know. Maybe that's just me saying that. I have no idea. He probably didn't feel bad. Maybe he just got tired. Luck Dragon says every single version of the Bible you read always comes to the conclusion of feeding the poor, loving the neighbor, and defeat greed. Well, New Testament anyhow. Certainly New Testament. Jesus' words were that about caring for the poor and the sick, loving thy neighbor, all that stuff. Yeah. Catherine Real Hill Talk says I was a Dale Earnhardt fan. Rest in peace. Yeah, that was one of the most freaky things, wasn't it? I was watching that race. That was Daytona 500, and what's his face? Michael Waltrip won the race, and then Michael Waltrip's brother Darrell Waltrip, who was a very good driver, former driver, was really, everyone's all yelling and screaming and all happy, and especially Dell, because his little brother just won the Daytona 500, and then there was a wreck. As everyone's crossing the finish line, then Earnhardt wrecks and hits the wall, and then everyone's like, "Oh, they're like, oh, car, oh, that's Earnhardt hits the wall," and everyone's just thinking, like, oh, that sucks, he wrecked his car in the last at the finish of the race, but everyone was expecting him to be okay. I think Dale Earnhardt has hit the wall many times before. Those drivers, they hit the wall all the time, but the way he hit it, the car, kind of swerved at like a 90-degree angle and kind of like went right into the wall, man. And it just, even though he's buckled in, harnessed in, there was nothing really to keep his head from snapping. And when he hit that wall at 100 and something miles an hour, it just snapped his neck. He Jeffrey Epsteined himself, but because of that, because they did have, I forget what they call it, this little harness thing or a little thing that now it's required. I think at the time, I think they had them, but it wasn't required, where it's some sort of a strap or whatever device that kind of snaps in, I guess, to your helmet or whatever, so that you can still move your head around, but you're not going to have so much play in it that if you do have a sudden stop like that, you're not going to just snap your fucking neck. So yeah, it was weird. It was really, and everyone went from joy and happiness or whatever, especially hearing the booth there, excited about the race, the finish of the race and the win, and then it went from like, oh my God, after a few minutes, like, finding out that Earnhardt was dead. He wasn't just in a wreck, but he was dead. It was really a surreal kind of a experience. Michael McAndrews is here. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Thanks for coming on into the old driver's lounge. Michael says, I'm playing a game of Settlers of Catan with my wife and her friends, so I will be back and forth. I have never heard of that game, Settlers of Catan. Is that a board game of some sort? It sounds interesting. Stephanie B2 is here. Hey, Steph, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Aaron says, how is traveling this morning? Fancy says he's probably tired. Michael McAndrews says the Rapture only took 0.000001 milliseconds, and we are all in heaven. Let's not fuck it up. Oh, if this is heaven, I'm on a refund. David Dog says, how was Stephanie Miller this morning? Oh, I didn't watch. I slept through. By the time I woke up, actually, I was going to turn it on because it was like about maybe 9:15 on my time, and that's the show ends at 9 my time. I was going to turn it on, and maybe Hal would have been on if I probably, huh? But I decided not to, and I just sort of, I just sort of laid down for a little more. Kim, she says, too late, Michael. Still have President Cheeto. Can we get a do-over? Michelle's here. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in to the old driver's lounge. Thanks for coming in for a bit. Luck Dragon says, prove me wrong, please. I don't believe. I don't know. Do you believe? Do you believe in magic? Or something. Invisible River Ranch says, I know a guy who reads 8-year-old comments. Okay. Kim Chi says, I picked the wrong day to stop snorting Tylenol. Just don't take it. Don't take the Tylenol. Comedy Mothership says, congrats on your approach to 1 million. Thank you, Comedy Mothership. I do appreciate that. We're getting there. We're going to be at 1 million. I think it's I think it's a good milestone for a small channel like mine. I think that's a good milestone. Invisible Ranch, first 1 million is the hardest. Barefoot Bear's here. Hey, Barefoot Bear, good to see you. Stephanie B2 says, I said my hip replacement, and they put me on 4,000 milligrams a day of Tylenol. Nick Rich says, YouTube has billions of viewers using it right now. There's about 50 of us on this channel. Yeah. Isn't that something? Ain't that something? Alvin Stube, Hal has album 01. Michelle, we won Arizona. Yeah, we talked about that. So we got a dim in that seat, which I guess was already a dim seat. But I guess that was her father who passed away. So she ran for his seat. She got it. She should be sworn in maybe today. I don't know. And then we can go ahead and vote on that Epstein files being released. Look, Dragon Raiders. You think the Raiders can beat the Bears? The Bears just beat the hell out of the Cowboys, I think, wasn't it? And the Raiders have not really looked that good. Invisible River Edge, how could anyone vote to continue fucking up everything and raising everything? I'm just hoping that we make it to the next elections. That's all I'm hoping and praying for. Catherine Real Hill Talk says Gavin was great on Colbert last night. I thought he was on Kimmel. Oops, turns out Gavin was on Kimmel tonight. Oh, okay. So Colbert last night, Kimmel tonight. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. We're at over 4,070. So we're moving along with the subscriptions. Thanks to everyone who's subscribing. We'll be at 4,100 really pretty soon here. Nick Rich says John looks comfortable in his new chair. No tech troubles lately either. The only stress is making money now. That's always the stress, isn't it? Isn't it? That's why I know we're not in heaven. Because I think in heaven you don't have to worry about money. At least not my idea of heaven. I don't know why I did that voice. Karen Ames says the news here said a total of 4 detainees at ICE were killed. Then he killed himself. He was white. So I'm just going to do what Vance does. I'm without any evidence or proof. I'm just going to say it was a white right-wing maggot. That's what I'm going to say. Who wants to put some money on that? I think it'd be a pretty safe bet, actually. Catherine Real Hot Talk says I need to restock my wine today. Yeah. Fancy says I'm broke until tomorrow. Someone give TJ a few bucks for me. Thanks, Fancy. We are 0 for 5 on the goal today. Yesterday we met our goal, but that's because I accidentally set it at 1. The Lucky Minute says we are too busy fighting for our 1A to get to 25A. Well, the thing about that, though, is that we don't have to. I know that was a joke, and you have the little jokey thing, but we don't have to do them in order. That's the good thing. We can just go, hey, let's do this one. This one's appropriate right now. Hope your coffee's as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's even better. I just steal everyone's material, don't I? Don't I? Don't I though? I just, I steal I'm a thief. I'm a thief, man. Bethany Yarbrough says, Trucker John, you look great for 65. Thank you. Especially the back of my head, see? That's why they're like, no way, you're not 65. The back of that head looks 45. Anywho. Nick Rich, I've got $2.22 left on my card. Guys. Yeah, don't send anything unless you've got money to burn or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? Mad Mac, those girls in your car were either drunk, they were a little drunk, or wanting a free ride, or both. I'm not joking. They had been partying, that's for sure. Let's just leave it at that. Marsha Jones, MAGA thinks it's a war crime for the escalator stop. Oh yeah, they did kind of. Wasn't Blondie Bondi making? She got all bent out of shape about it, Nick Rich, you son of a gun, $2.22 super sticker. Apparently it didn't show up. I guess that was a sticker and not a chat. But thank you so much. Nick Rich, $2.22. Yippee. Going out to you. I gave you a thumbs up and a heart. Thank you so much, Nick. Don't do that, guys, though, if it's, I don't want anything that if it's going to be, like a hardship or whatever, So please. But thank you, Nick. Josh, it was a goddamn rally. Yeah, that so-called memorial. It was. I just saw clips of it. I saw some of the Stephen Miller stuff, and it was hideous. Stephen Miller, that was like a Nazi rally. It turned in very quickly into a Nazi rally once Stephen Miller got up there, and he was just invoking all kinds of white nationalist bullshit. Luck Dragon says, I love being the guy that Trucker John makes fun of every day. It's okay, bro. I don't remember making fun of you, actually. Luck Dragon, if you would allow me to, I'd buy you a cup of coffee. Hell, I hope it's even better. Mr. Spock, I'm out of tinfoil, also nothing to make hats out of. Um, Catherine Real Health Talk says, I wouldn't watch a damn second of that memorial. Rumor has it that CK Widow was a beauty pageant. Then Agent Orange introduced them. Then the rest is history, I guess. Yeah, they showed a picture of her in her little bikini when she was in the, and she won like Miss Arizona or something like that. Yeah, and then he said her, yeah, with Charlie. Yeah, it's all kind of weird. Yeah. Luck Dragon says, I love the fact that Trucker John makes fun of my punctuation, even though I am spot on, and I used to have an affair within not only punctuation. I'm going to start, if you want to accuse me of basically being a grammar Nazi, then I'll start to also make comments about the poor grammar. But anyhow, I used to have an affair with an English teacher in the 7th grade because of that was one total run on. That was a total run on. I don't even know if I should call that a sentence because there was no periods, no commas, nothing. A couple of misspelled words like within, or the wrong word put there. So you kind of just proved my point of my being that my criticisms are valid. Marshall Jones says that's what I said. It was the weight of his ankles that Karen Ames. DPD says, do you think Smokey Eye Vance turns his racism and his indignation for women off when he is home with his wife and his biracial children? Do you think she gives a fuck about her biracial children? I do. I do think she does. I think he's a total hypocrite, JD Vance. That's what I think. Fancy says he sewed his bald spot together. He probably has a long scar. Ooh. Ugh. Marshall Jones noticed no one from Kirk's family spoke, only the Stepford wife. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch it. I just, like I said, I saw some of the clips. I saw a lot of the Stephen Miller stuff, and it was just a total like Nazi rally at that point. Kim Chi says even beautiful old women think you're sexy. Thank you, Kim Chi, but you're not old, so you don't count in that scenario. Stephanie B2, I haven't worn makeup in 7 years at least. Me too. Mr. Spot, my picture adds a few hundred years to my age. Yeah, Bethany says it pissed me off when Trump made fun of the cerebral palsy reporter. Yeah, that was one of the things I was alluding to. Chris Doug's here. Hey, Chris Doug, good to see you. Thanks for jumping on in. Is Trump passing judgment on other people's appearance? Has he looked in the mirror lately? Not exactly cornering the mark. Well, that's the whole thing. That just shows what a narcissist he is. Malignant narcissist. He thinks he can do no wrong. That's the whole, the king has no clothes analogy and everything. He doesn't see what the rest of us see, apparently. Or he just doesn't give a fuck. I don't know. Luck Dragon, I hate to say this, but I have seen footage that shows that Charlie Kirk might have been shot in the back of the neck instead of the front. To be honest, I already know why the FBI is lying. I've seen all the footage too, and I mean, I don't know. I do know that when he was shot, he fell backwards. So he didn't fall forward; he fell straight back. If that means anything, I'm not a forensics or a ballistics expert, so Invisible River Ranch. Wait till the recession begins. Yeah, we're just at the tip of the iceberg of all the shit. We're just at the tip of the fucking iceberg. That's for sure. You ain't seen nothing yet. Luck Dragon believes that JFK was killed by his own party. I don't know, but I do know. I don't know anything, but I don't think Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. You know. Karen Name says Adelanto is now extremely bad. No, that's not good. That's in California. Gavin Newsom needs to get on that. I mean, I believe, there are people that need to be locked up, and there are people that don't deserve to be locked up, and the ones that do get locked up should be treated with humanely. I'm not saying it has to be club fed or whatever, but still humane. Care names the facility, not the town. Not that the town is all that much better, but but I knew you were talking about the prison. And I joke about Adelanto. I mean, it's been a while since I was through there. I can remember when Adelanto was just a much tinier than it is now. I know they've been building up some housing developments there, and it's built up a little bit. But I remember when Adelanto was best known for its massage parlor that I think the mayor owned or something like that. Or was a frequent customer of or something. I remember there was some scandal. This is back in probably the 80s or something, or 90s, I guess. Luck Dragon says there's a slot of land in the Bay Area which is so slimy that I bet you they could hold at least 10,000. Okay, I'm not reading the rest. I'm not reading the rest of that. Invisible River Ranch 360 cam. I've thought about getting one of those. A 360 cam. Luck Dragon says California needs to become its own country, and we need a lot of Midwestern states to succeed. Secession, like a secession. I've said that too. I'm not when I say because I was saying that in someone else's chat the other night about how just all the blue states should just secede and form their own country, their own United Blue States of America or something like that. I say that sort of half joking, tongue in cheek, because I don't know if it could even be done peacefully. I don't think we should go to a war, an actual shooting war. I'm not sure if states pulled out of the union if they can do that. I don't know the procedure. But when I say that, I'm kind of tongue in cheek, but I'm kind of like not tongue in cheek. You know what I mean? I'm kind of joking, but not joking. I don't know. But what if we could get all the blue states, even if they're not connected, they could still be. I think they could still be in this alliance of states that would form their own country. And this is the 21st century. We can figure out how to travel and all that kind of shit. And if we ran this new country, this new United Blue States of America, of course, a constitution that would be very much like the U.S. Constitution, maybe make improvements along the way, maybe not write it in fucking 18th century parlance, maybe update the fucking language so it's a little easier to read, for one thing. Maybe iron out some of the stuff, iron out the Second Amendment and that type of thing. And also run our country more like the fucking Swedes and the Norways, the Norwegians and the Finns or whatever, those Scandinavian states that everyone loves so much. And run it like that, where we do have universal health care and we have all these great social programs, social safety net programs, and we've got jobs and education. We're promoting green, renewable energy and technology, and we would probably have roughly half the state. Let's say we had 20 or 23 states that did this, and we would become. This is all hypothetical, right? I think that the United Blue States of America would thrive, would absolutely thrive, and I think the United Red States of America would die and wither away. I think the people of the United Red States of America would be begging to be admitted into the United Blue States of America after a few years, after 5 years or 10 years, after them just seeing how shitty their country is and how our country was just thriving. But maybe they wouldn't, because they're so stupid. These are fucking maggots. This would be the MAGA states of America. And they're so fucking stupid. They probably wouldn't want to join us. And then all they would want is our prosperity, but they don't want our freedom, our idea of freedom. All because of the word socialism or whatever, They love getting health care. They would love that. They would love getting Social Security. They would love that. There's a lot of things they would love, as long as it doesn't have some name attached to it, like socialism or democratic or whatever. I don't know. They would probably be so stupid and ignorant that even if this scenario played out and the United Blue States of America became the number one country in the world, number one in the economy, number one in in everything, in green renewable technologies, number one in just economic numbers through the roof, the best ever seen, and the United Red States of America, they would just be all like, they would probably just be committing suicide. Their suicide rate would probably be 1,000,000% higher. Because they would just be they would have nothing. They would probably just, they would just be building prisons or something, and shit. And they still wouldn't want to come over. So fuck them. Like my pal Austin says, just fuck them. Fuck them all. So anyhow, now we're back into NASCAR talk, it looks like. Tim Farrell's here. Hey Tim, good to see you. Catherine Rillo talk Dale Earnhardt, Intimidator, rest in peace. Yeah, but he wasn't from the 60s and 70s. Chris Doug says they dropped Winston Cup after cigarette advertising was banned. Yeah, they dropped it, and then they went to Sprint Cup, I think, for a long time. And then I think they changed it. then another sponsor came in, I think. So after a while, that's why I was just saying after a while, instead of calling it the Sprint Cup, I just call it the Cup because I don't know what their sponsor is now. Or, Karen Ames says Petty is also a Republican and appeared on stage with Trump in 2016. So yeah, probably MAGA. Yeah, unfortunately. Still the king, though, of NASCAR in the 60s and 70s, especially. Look, Dragon says my favorite NASCAR driver was the Rainbow Warrior. That would be Jeff Gordon, for those of you that don't know that. Was because he was from California, and also I heard him say some stupid shit. Oh, wait, some stupid shit? That's why you liked him? Because he said stupid shit? That makes no sense to me. Sorry. I'm sorry, it makes no sense to me. Karen James, Jimmy Johnson is from California also. Yep. See, here's another example, Look, Dragon. I don't understand your post. It says, here is my advice to anybody who wants to make a political statement from here on. Duh. Look, Dragon, I think I would have made an incredible white 51-year-old teacher explaining to 10th graders how Donald Trump is trying to Nazi you. Okay. 56 Nick Rich says, when the topic is one that John enjoys, he gets further and further behind. 12:15 in Vegas. I am less than a half an hour. I'm just going to ignore that one. Let's see here. Catherine Real Hot Talk says Petty has the most wins in NASCAR history, over 200 wins in NASCAR series, known as the King. So he still has the most. I thought Earnhardt and Gordon passed him. Apparently not, though. Apparently I was wrong. I stand corrected. Jolie says, I used to watch NASCAR. I was a Dale Earnhardt fan. When he died, I stopped watching. Rest in peace, number 3. Yeah, I think, Jolie, I think you learned a lot of your driving moves from Earnhardt, from what I've heard. Karen Ames says Petty has most wins in a season, 27. 7 wins at Daytona, most wins, 200, and tied with 7 series championships. All right. Karen Ames says there's your Google info for the day, John. Thank you very much, Karen. I just hope Fancy puts Dan Gurney on the list. He was great. He was a great driver. Tim Farrell says it wasn't a violent collision, but the drivers knew right away it was horrible, worse than if it was a flip. Yeah, because of the way the car just slammed into the wall, like head on. It was like almost like, because usually when they hit the wall, they're kind of like at an angle, But the car just sort of turned and like went almost like head on into it. Senifo says Trump was at the 5,000 Daytona race. Do you mean the Daytona 500 or something? I don't know. Mad Max says, well, I didn't know about Dale Earnhardt. The race was over, and that's when he hit the wall and died. Well, the front runners, he was a little bit back. So the people in front had just crossed the finish line. So the race was actually still going on, but it was the last lap, and the checker flag was out, and Michael Waltrip and all the front drivers went through. I think Dell was a little bit further back, like middle of the pack or something, and I don't think he ever made it to the finish line. He wrecked before the finish line there. Chris Doug says apparently the rapture is delayed because Jesus is having difficulty lifting all the obese Americans. But I don't know why Luck Dragon is going off on some sort of suicide tangent. Although I think I said something about suicide. Did I not? I may have said something about it. That might have set Luck Dragon off. I don't know. Tim Farrell says if those people would read their Bibles, they would learn they are not supposed to know when the rapture will happen. Yep. No man shall know the day or the hour, I believe, of the end of the world. Or however it's phrased, because I think the rapture, I don't think is actually in the Bible. But when we talk about the end times or the second coming or of Jesus, no man shall know the hour or the day or the hour. Catherine says, how was on early in the week? Okay, that was the commercial break. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think yeah, that's right. I really didn't think that Hal would be on. That's why when someone else mentioned it, I was really surprised. And it's funny how people can't figure that out when they're playing, because it says right on there previously. It'll say previously on 70 Miller, and people get that confused all the time. They think that's live. Marcia says, Jesus Christ in chat, better watch our P's and Q's. Invisible Ranch says, not you. The 8-year-old comments are from the president. Tim Farrell says, it's not Tylenol that's dangerous. It's the ic-otopin that is in it. Ic-otopin. Acetaminophen. Ic-otopin. Marcia says the act of suicide is desperation done. Don't belittle it. Yeah, there's a lot. It's more complex. It's very complex, I think, issue. Look, Dragon, believe in God. Jesus is the only person in history would have a perfect 300% IQ on the planet. Of course, he's God on a bod. Jesus is God. If you believe in the Scripture and you believe in the Bible and you believe in the whole thing, Jesus Christ is the human manifestation of God. That's what I was taught. And we would say God on a bod, just as a short little thing there. Gina Maynard says the shooter was identified as Joshua Jan, I don't know, Joshua Jan, a 29-year-old registered independent. It's the independents that are getting us, or getting people. Because I think Tyler Robinson wasn't registered within a party. Are we going to now declare independents a terrorist organization? It's the independents. Kimchi says, you people are freaking insane, and I adore each one of you beautiful geniuses. Thank you, Kimchi. So Marshall says he didn't shoot any ICE agents. He shot 3 detainees. That's weird. Why would you do that? Like, I mean, that's a stupid question. I mean, it's always weird. I mean, all this shooting is weird and awful and horrible. I still don't know why people do it. Aaron West, member for 17 months. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, Aaron. Yippee going out to Aaron West. I do appreciate you. Being a long-time member. One of the longest. I appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Kimchi, a member for 18 months. Not to be outdone. Yippee to Kimchi. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You heard Aaron. Thumbs up, thumb up. We are at a pretty good surplus of thumbs up, so we are acting like good Democrats. I do appreciate y'all for doing that. I hate it when we act like Republicans. I really do. So thanks for making us into the good Democrats that we are by having us at a really big surplus of thumbs ups. Yeah, happy truckiversary to Aaron and to Kimchi. Happy truckiversary. So I guess the shooter they're talking about, yeah, is Chris Doug says identified 29-year-old Joshua John. Oh, now the spelling's different, so I don't know. I'm confused now. I'm getting more and more confused. Roxanne79 says, back of your head looks TJ looks 40s to me. See there? That's why when I'm driving and if the conversation, I don't tell everyone that I'm turning 65, but if the conversation happens to go there and I'm like, yeah, I'm 64 or I'm going to turn 65, and then people can't believe it, but they're sitting behind me in a dark car, That's the only thing I can figure of why they wouldn't believe me. Gino Maynard says, so now rhetoric is dangerous. How convenient. First Amendment absolutist hypocrites. We told you so. MJ Daniel, PB Goebbels, reference to Stephen Miller. Yeah, Kimchi says, please consider donating or volunteering at a food bank. It's going to get bad, like C-19 bad. I think we got to get them out. I mean, I wish that the Republicans in Congress would grow a fucking spine, and they would get together with the Democrats and say, yeah, we got to get this fucker out. He's destroying everyone's economy. Because at some point, the Republicans got to know they can't. How are they going to run on this shit? How are they ever going to run on this shit? And maybe they don't care because they know that they won't have to, because it's all going to be fixed and rigged anyhow. I don't know. Sandy Phillips says the Buffalo Bills are our #1 football team. They're off to a pretty good start. They're doing good. Mad Mac says Stephen Miller actually used Joseph Goebbels' Nazi speech changed into English, of course, and a few words changed to fit the situation. Total Nazi speech for real. Like I said, that I listened to it and I was like, oh my God, did I just walk into a Nazi rally? Total 100% right, Mad Mac. And Golf Twitler says, wait, that wasn't the 2025 GOP convention? Talking about the Charlie Kirk memorial service there. Aaron West reminds everyone that I, Trucker John, have channel memberships and super chats. The channel membership's starting off at $1.99 a month, and I think that's a great deal. Might want to consider that. And we got the super chats. We're 0 for 5 so far on the goal today. You can support the show also by subscribing and liking, subscribing, and sharing. Share the show. Let's get the show out there. Let's grow the show. Continue to do that. We're at over 4,070 subscribers. Just think, we only have 40 watching, but I have 4,070. How can I get in touch with that other 4,070? There's got to be a way that I can tell that 4,070, and those are all real. Those aren't bots. I don't even know if you can anymore, but those are all real. As far as I know, I don't do anything to get subscribers or whatever. But how do I get in touch with that? Because it seems like if I have 4,070 subscribers, instead of 40 watching, I should have 400. You know what I mean? So somehow I've got to figure out a way to get the attention of all 4,070 people. And so because even 10% would be 407 or whatever, right? So it seems like I should be able to get 10% of my subscribers in here. If you guys have any ideas how I can send out a message to the 4,000 subscribers, let me know, because we should have more than 41 watching. I think I should have 400 at least. Then just think about how fast the chat would be whizzing by. That would just drive me nuts, though, in a way. All right, so I kind of skipped down. I don't know if Roxanne79 was having problems with the audio, but she said better after I restarted. Yeah, sometimes that's what you got to do. If you're getting audio issues or some kind of thing, just close it and open it back up, and that usually a lot of times that solves the issue. So hopefully that did it. Luck Dragon says, you have to read it like a script, not like an English teacher, Trucker John, and trust me, you are no English teacher? Well, believe me, if that was a script, it wouldn't be like that. I've read and written scripts, so it wouldn't be like that. I can tell you that much for sure. I'm a screenwriter, and I have read scripts, just so you know. Okay, I'm skipping down in the chat. Joe Casey says, I'm refusing to do my dishes until it's done. Until TJ is done. Nope, not just gonna. Well, those dishes can wait. We are at over 2 hours already. It is kind of amazing how time flies, though. It's kind of amazing. Gina Maynard says, we need a second homesteading act to populate the states with under 2 million people. I know. That would be so easy, though. I'm not saying it would be easy to move people, but some of these states have such little population, like Wyoming and Montana and all these fucking places, that if we just moved a few thousand people, like 10,000 or 20,000 people here, 30,000 people could go there, we could fucking flip those states, man. I've been saying that for years now. I've been saying, I think because as a truck driver, I really realized how open some of these states are, that where it's just cornfields and cow pastures. You know, I mean, when the whole state of Wyoming has less people in it than the San Fernando Valley, where I was born, has about 3 million people or more. I don't know. I haven't checked it lately. In the San Fernando Valley, and Wyoming has less than 1 million people in the whole goddamn state. You know, yeah, we need to do that. Let's have some sort of relocation program. You know, if George Soros wants to do something or whatever, you know, get where we can set people up in a nice house. It doesn't have to be a mansion, but just a nice regular 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house or whatever. I don't know. And you could go to Wyoming, Montana, you know, the Dakotas. And I know these are rough areas for the winter. They can be pretty rough in the winter, but make sure, you know, you send them some jackets and have a good heater. I don't know. I don't know. We could do it. We need to have something like that. Mad Max says the 3 Western states should break away, and if any other states want to join they can. It definitely is not in the United States of America any longer, thanks to maggots. And I believe the 3 Western states have joined together in a health care alliance. And I've heard that some of the New England states are going to have the same type of a deal, and some other states, because of how Trump and the Republicans are just destroying healthcare, destroying the ACA, and making it so tens of millions of people are going to lose insurance because they can't afford it. Thank you, maggots. Thank you. MJ Daniel says MAGA wants to see Democrats and liberals to suffer more than they want to see every American succeed. Their hate is the most important thing to them. They are a sick bunch of folks, these maggots. They're sick in the head. They're a bunch of sick in the head people. That's what I call them. I guess Golf Marine is here. I skipped down. I just see someone talking to Golf Marine. So hello, Golf Marine. I didn't mean to not say hi when you came in, but I'm really behind and I'm skipping down. I see Big Hook. Big Hook, the Big Canuck is here. Hey, Big Hook, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in to the driver's lounge, hanging out for a little bit. I do appreciate it. Golf Marine says, if one disappears, does that mean God scrapped the entire rapture and he's just going to take a giant eraser to the whole thing? No, it just means that some asswipe in South Africa that said, I guess made a TikTok video that said that the rapture was going to happen yesterday at such and such time. It just means that guy was a dumb shit, and that a lot of dumb shits, I guess, believed it. It really has nothing to do with God. Jolie says, yes, Trucker John, Dale Earnhardt was my driving instructor. I'm skipping down, guys. I'm way behind, and we're over 2 hours, so I am skipping down. I hope the chats that you guys had, and I hope you enjoyed those. I just skipped over a bunch of them. Luck Dragon says the rapture didn't happen. ... For instance, I am still here. Yeah, the rapture. Number one, It's never going to happen because it's all bullshit. Anyhow, it's all made up. And number two, who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck about the rapture. You know, I really don't give a fuck. Owen says I'm in a dead zone. I think there's something to wealthy neighborhoods and no cell service without Wi-Fi. Maybe the cell towers are bad because on my side of town there's plenty of service. All right, I'm skipping down, guys. Skipping on down. Bonnie Thompson says, "Oh my God, my fucking cat! First, she's licking spaghetti sauce off my plate. I put it in the sink, and I go to sit down. Her head is partially shoved in my water. I skipped down, shoved in my water glass." Golf Marine, I believe that the man from Mars is through with cars. Another Blondie reference. Joe Casey says, "Don't be friends with Trump. All his friends get killed by his own followers." Yeah, remember how there used to always be like the Clinton death list or something, the Clinton hit list, and they would claim all these people were killed because of the Clintons or for the Clintons. I think we could make just as equally as long of a list, if not longer, of all the people around Trump that end up mysteriously dying. Owen says tomorrow is Hal's birthday. Yesterday was my son's birthday, and so tomorrow is Hal, and then I guess mine's next week. I think. Big Hook says Fugelsang had a great talk with Jordan Klepper yesterday on the Daily Show. He really called out all the hypocrites who use the Bible as a shield for awfulness. Fugelsang is great. I love John Fugelsang. I really do. Fugelsang and Hal Sparks, I put those two guys as like, right, they're like, really both really great, in my opinion. Chris Doug says Trump defamed the brand name Tylenol because he could not pronounce acetaminophen. Now I'm doing it. Acetaminophen. Litigation pending. Yeah, I hope Tylenol just sues the ever-loving fuck out of that motherfucker. Like I said yesterday, $1 billion for every time that he said don't take Tylenol. And I didn't go back and count them, but I bet you it was like 25 times or something. Maybe $1 trillion each. Mad Mac, remember for 18 months? Yippee to Mad Mac. Happy truckerversary, Mad Mac. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. One of the OGs. You guys are OGs. Thank you, Mad Mac. I appreciate you for doing that. Being a member. Oh, it says Chris Doug. He probably fired whoever wrote his speech for the Tylenol. Yeah, I don't. Was he even on? Was he even on page there? Anyhow, I hear he thinks people are trying to destroy him when they put big words in the speech. Well, I guess that part was written, but a lot of it was just him going, "Don't buy Tylenol. Don't do it. Don't take it. Don't eat it. Don't use it. Die." I'm not sure if that was I think that was off book or whatever. Luck Dragon says homework, listen to the Subhumans, and then listen to Neurosis, and then come back after the weekend and tell me I'm not right. I'm a bit mid-thread. I've been skipping a lot of your shit because you've kind of gone off the rails a little bit, maybe, sort of, kind of, and or whatever. So I'm a bit mid-thread on that. Luck Dragon, I'm not sure what the hell you're talking about anymore at this point. Sorry. Damon Dog says, Trucker John, is there a plastic barrier in the tax? No, there is not. No plastic barriers. It's all open. Chris Doug says 79 years old, necrosis on the hand, edema in the ankles. frontal temporal dementia. He needs to go. I mean, who knows? I know we're all worried about J.D. Vance, but what if J.D. Vance became president? And what if he said, you know what? I went to fucking Harvard, or I don't even know. Where did he go? He went to some school like that, right? Yale or something? I don't know. And he said, you know what? I know I wasn't an economics major, but I know I can figure out some shit. You know, I know these tariffs are bullshit. I mean, what if? I mean, okay, a guy can dream, right? A guy can dream. I mean, either we're going to get, let's say they get rid of Trump one way or the other, and J.D. Vance becomes president. We're either just going to get a continuation of Trump, you know, Project 2025 and all that shit, or we've seen Vance already do a 180 from before when he was calling Trump America's Hitler and all that kind of shit. He did a 180 from that. Maybe he can do another 180. And I'm not saying he's going to like be, you know, a liberal or anything like that, but maybe he'll see the light and he'll know that he's got to fix the economy if there's any chance of Republicans ever being voted back in any office ever again. I don't know. I know I probably sound delusional right now. I'm probably, you know, maybe I'm just going crazy from the heat because the AC is not on right now, and maybe I'm getting too hot. I don't know. But like I said, a guy can dream, can't he? Catherine Real Health Talk says Joshua John is shooter's name. Patel sucks as FBI guy. Info scattered. Yeah, Patel is awful. Yeah, we know that. That's the kakistocracy, right? That we learned, that word we learned early on about how we have a government that's being run by a bunch of morons and incompetent assholes. That's basically kakistocracy. Chris Doug says, TJ, how do you set up notify me on YouTube? I think you just hit the bell. Isn't there a little bell? And then it's supposed to just notify you when I go on. Like I think it just goes to whatever like email account you have registered with your YouTube account, I think. Chris Doug says at least 100 people should be here. Something ain't right. Yeah, over 4,000. Like I said, I don't do anything to bring in. You know, this is all, as far as I know, this is all legitimate. You know, I've been asking for people to subscribe. I put out videos almost every day that it says subscribe on them. All those shorts I put out, I'm always just saying subscribe. And I do get, and I can look at my analytics and I can see every day I'm getting subscribers. People are hitting the subscribe button, but they're not watching the live stream for some reason. And I mean, you guys are, you beautiful people are, but like I say, I mean, out of 4,070, Chris Doug says I should get at least 100. I think I should have at least 400. As far as I know, like I said, these are all real, legitimate. I don't buy. I don't even know if you can. I don't. But these aren't bots or, you know, or whatever. This is just me going on to YouTube and putting out videos that says subscribe. And I thought that was what was working. But I don't know. Who knows? Big Hook says I had to rebut Chad, and I hope my message was clear. I know Chad is the guy who comes on Liberal Dan a lot. Speaking of which, today is Wednesday. Guys, don't forget tonight, the best show, really the best political talk show on the internet tonight Liberal Dan, 8 o'clock Central, I believe, right? Right here on YouTube. Don't forget. And if any of the mods want to put a link to Liberal Dan, feel free to do so. Tonight, 8 o'clock Central, Liberal Dan Show. You guys don't miss it. Don't miss it. Mad Max says, yeah, I had to close and reopen YouTube. TJ's speech was out of sync big time. Big time. I'm not saying anything, and you guys probably thought the sound went out. Maybe. I don't know. Chris Doug, 64 thumbs up seems low too. Yeah, I mean, well, for having 44 watching, it's not. But yeah, there's something, I don't know. There's something, I don't know, something I got to do. You know, it should go, it should be more than that. That's all I'm saying. Golfer in blunt politics? All right, let's smoke. I know sometimes when I wear this shirt out in public, and I think when people first see that, they kind of laugh and grin because they think it's about, you know, a blunt. And hey, if that's what you want to think, go ahead. I don't care. I have no problem with people thinking that. I also have another shirt that says "I love weed," and then at the very bottom it's like California, because there's a town in California called Weed. And people, I get the same response when I wear the "I love weed" shirt. The people are like, "Hey man, that's a cool shirt. I love that. I want that shirt, man." I mean, people will high five me. They'll fist bump me just for wearing an "I love weed" shirt. Maybe I should wear the "I love weed" shirt more often on the live stream, and maybe I'll get more people in here. You know what I mean? I should just take a picture of the "I love weed" shirt and make that my permanent thumbnail. I wonder if that would help. I'm not averse to trying little gimmicky things. I'm really not. As long as I'm not selling my soul to the devil. You know what I mean? How do you know what I mean? Jolie says, Trucker John, getting subscribers into a live stream seems like a common problem. You're running at 0.98% of live viewers. What? Jolie coming in with the math. You're running at, excuse me, 0.98% of live viewers versus subscribers. How's live streams runs at 1.41 viewers? Wow, Jolie, you sound like that guy on CNN with does the number thing. Who knew? I didn't know I had my own numbers gal. So I'm 0.98. Hal's at 1.4. I need to get it up to 1.4. Big Hook. Jeff got his wish. Strange Brew 2 is being made. Really? Gosh, was that about 30 years apart from the first one? Owen says, when I try to talk with MAGA, I work in trades. They look at me like my head is missing when I say land doesn't vote. Oh, land. Oh, I get it. See, I totally get what you said, but for some reason, when I was reading it, it wasn't computing. I absolutely know what you mean. Yeah, land doesn't vote. Cows don't vote. Cornfields don't vote. I absolutely get what you mean. Yep. Because I'll show those charts or the image of the United States, and it's all red. You know, yeah, those are cornfields, motherfucker. Those are fucking cow pastures. Last I checked, the cows don't vote. Yeah, so I get you. I totally get you, Owen. 100%, Owen. 100%. Goth Marine says, but it's fun to make fun of the rapture. People are invested in that stupidity. Reminds me of my in-laws thinking Reno 9/11 was a real cop show, which was a great show, by the way. I love that show. It's so funny. And I think it was the very first episode, and I know this is really fucked up, but this is, you know, there were so many cop shootings, like of shooting unarmed people, and cops mainly shooting black unarmed people. And I think the very first episode of Reno 9/11, they busted into some house and I think they murdered the fucking unarmed black dude, if I remember. And I remember I just busted up laughing. And I know it's awful. It's an awful thing, but I found it so funny because it was so kind of truthful to what was going on at the time. With all these shootings, these fucking cops busting in and just shooting unarmed people. And it just struck me as so funny because someone actually depicted that in a show. So it struck me as funny, and not that the issue is funny, not that the issue is very, very serious, but I just thought it was brilliant that they actually had the balls to do that, to film that scene and to show it. And so it was brilliant. And from that episode on, I was a fan. Tim Farrell, bring back Red Green next. I don't know what that's about. I'm probably mid-thread. DPD 5844 says, did anyone see John Thune's comments on Trump's disgusting UN speech? Is it Thune or Thune? It's probably Thune, huh? But anyhow, said Trump showed the world what a strong leader he is, what a streaming biologist Thune is. Yeah. He showed the world something, that's for sure. He showed him something. Owen's here. Owen says, greetings from Virginia. It's kind of sucks finding like-minded people here. Even the punk scene kids I played in bands with went anti-woke. I'm like you. We're woke as fuck back in the day. Yeah, what's going on? Why do people change like that? Big Hook says apparently it was an essential tool for airplanes during WW2, World War II. I think I saw a reference to duct tape. I don't know. Something. Jolie says, I've also noticed Cliff's Edge live streams has a huge discrepancy between viewers versus subscribers at approximately 0.34%. Wow, Jolie's just coming in with the numbers here. Yeah, I guess I just got to get more subscribers then. Josh says, I think it's going to take a few more months of supporters watching him rot in real time. So that's with Trump. At some point, he's just going to be a steaming pile of goo. Maybe then. I saw David Windler's here. Hey, David, good to see you. I'm just skipping down. Jolie says, Chad sucks. I agree. Let's see. Damon Doug says, thanks for the reminder. My friend got me sour diesel tape. DPD 5844, TJ Vance is just as dangerous as Trump. Vance agrees with repealing the 19th Amendment, not to mention his down low relationship with Peter Thiel. Well, maybe that's not a bad thing. I don't know. But again, it was tongue in cheek, I guess, and it was kind of, I don't know. But maybe, like I said, a guy can hope. Maybe if he became president, he would drop all that shit, all this dropping at night. Right now, maybe he's just saying what he knows Trump wants to hear and MAGA wants to hear. But if he actually became president, maybe he would be more, I don't know, Mitt Romney or something. Or not that Mitt Romney is that great, but there's the Liberal Dan link there for Jolie. Jolie put that in, so memorize it, because I don't think you want to go there now. So memorize the thing. I don't know. Somehow save it or do it or whatever. But yeah, Liberal Dan tonight, 8 o'clock Central. Don't miss it. You guys should be there. I've got 43 watching. I want to see tonight double that. I want to see 86 people at least in Liberal Dan's show tonight. You guys got that? Bonnie Thompson, does Liberal Dan have a sense of humor? Oh, he's cracking jokes left and right. Bonnie Thompson, have you not gone? Have you not gone to Liberal Dan? Oh, you've got to check it out. You got to check him out. Liberal Dan is very funny. Very big sense of humor. Squirtle says, I have a little bell checked so that I'll be notified when you're live, and yet it doesn't let me know. I have to look for you. I guess that thing doesn't work all the time. I've heard a lot of people say that too, that they hit the bell and it still doesn't work. So I don't know. I don't know why. I think it's a YouTube issue. Or maybe you don't have, do you have, I guess you have to put your email account when you make a YouTube account. So it seems like they should have your email. Are you still using that email account? Or maybe that's it. I don't know. Karen Ames says 5 Pacific time. I think it's 6 Pacific time. Karen, we're only 2 hours off from difference from Central time. So it would be 6 o'clock tonight, Karen. Big Hook, I haven't heard of him, Tim. Okay, I'm mid-thread. I'm going to skip. I think I'll skip that one since I'm mid-thread. Aaron West says, I have a shirt with a dachshund on it that says, easily distracted by wieners. Mr. Spock says, I had an Adolf Hitler World Tour t-shirt. It had canceled in USSR and Britain on the map. That's so funny. That is funny, I think. I think it's funny. Adolf Hitler says, woke means awareness of racial bias and prejudice. Stay woke was a warning people gave when other Black Americans were passing through towns with lynching. Right. Stay woke. Stay woke. Keep your head on a swivel so your head's not in a noose. Later on, I guess. Aaron West says, my nephew has Asperger's and just got his MBA abroad. Fuck DJT and RFK Jr. Absolutely. Fuck those assholes. And congratulations on your nephew. That's a great accomplishment for anyone. Jolie says, Trucker John, to get Hal's 1.4% of chatters in a live stream would mean having approximately 57 chatters, which you have often. Okay, then. Mission accomplished. Anyhow, thank you, Jolie, for that info. Karen Ames says, thank you, Marsha Jones. She was my mobility service dog. She knew how to jump over cracks and sidewalks so I wouldn't trip over them. I'm mid-thread. I don't know if you lost your dog or something. Sad to hear about that. Let me skip on down. Look at here. We got Gin Up the Base, $4.20 super sticker. I'll start funding TJ. We need to get his 5Ks. Thank you so much for the support. Yippee to Gin Up the Base. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I give you a heart and a thumbs up and a yippee. You got all three. I appreciate that. 420. And it was 420. Okay, I get it. For all you pot smokers out there, there's a secret message. There's a secret message in that. Big Hook says, Gavin Newsom had some very important things to say about democracy under threat as well as elections. Yeah, and I did have that in my clips. Some of that. When he was on Colbert. Stephen Colbert. Karen Ames says, thanks for the time on Liberal Dan at TJ because I've never heard of him before. Oh, Karen, if you're watching TV tonight, watching YouTube, 8 o'clock Central. Karen, where are you? Where are you? Are you Adelanto? Are you California? So that would be, like I said, that would be 6 our time, 6 Pacific. So right here on YouTube, Liberal Dan, and a lot of the chat we share a lot of the audience. We have a shared audience, so you'll have a lot of familiar faces in there to hang out with. and then plus some new folks probably, and it's a great time. It's a great time, great show, greatest show on the internet. So go check them out. 6 o'clock our time, 8 o'clock Central. Chris Doug says if dear leader's legs hurt from climbing the escalator, he can always take Tylenol for the pain. Don't take the Tylenol. Don't take it. Adolf Twitler, if you like Jello Biafra and the Dead Kennedys. I remember the Dead Kennedys. I don't remember Jello Biafra. Although that name does sound familiar. But definitely Dead Kennedys, I remember. Adolf Twitler says that if you have not checked this out, then get off your ass and do so. Jello Biafra, Charlie Kirk, and the Dangerous Done. What Would Jesus Do? Part 122. And the Renegade Roundtable. And whatever that is. Season 3, episode 4. Alternative Tentacles. I'm mid-thread. I'm totally mid-thread. Josh says, Karen, it'll be the same group in chat. Largely, but there'll be a few extras too, a few added names for Liberal Dan. Squirrel Girl says, it used to notify me when I first subscribed in notification bell upper right corner on YouTube. I've never been notified via email. Okay, because sometimes I think I'm just trying to remember my own experience. I think sometimes I do get notified in my Gmail. So I don't know. It's just weird. YouTube needs to work that out, I think. But anyhow, so Scroll Girl says it's okay. I don't mind looking for you. But just try to remember. I know you guys have lives and you've got a million things going on. So I don't expect you to commit it to memory. But I'll just say it just to remind you. I'm on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 11 a.m. and Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. So, like I said, I know everyone has lots of things going on, and I don't expect you to, memorize my schedule. But it would be nice if you did. Or you could write it down and tape it to your wall or something. I don't know. David Windler says Newsom said Trump can't risk having a 2028 election because he knows, Trump's not going to run in 2028, but the Republicans will lose. Sandy Folt says, I got some undercover lights. They look good. I don't know what undercover lights are, but that sounds cool. Adolf Twitler says real activism. Karen name's Victorville. So, yeah, you're over there in the Pacific time zone. So, yeah, Liberal Dan tonight at 6 o'clock your time, 6 o'clock Pacific. Adolf Twitler, Jello sang for the Dead Kennedys. Oh, okay. Janet Bay says, Adolf Twitler, I just found it and will watch. Thanks. I'm still on my ass, though, but I'm going to watch. No, you got to get up off your ass. Isn't that what Adolf Twitler said? Jolie says, Aaron, I just know how to use the percentage calculator on Google. Sunny Fold says, I think maybe Excedrin? Excedrin, maybe? My migraine works much better. Sandy Folds, watch The Chosen if you really believe in God. Is The Chosen a TV show or a movie? What is that? I shouldn't ask any questions right now because I do need to end the show. We're at 2 hours and 39 minutes. I know my mods are probably wanting to go do something else, and plus my battery's probably dying, and you guys are probably sick of me right by now. So I should probably go ahead and end this show. Big Hook says, I believe in dog more than I do God. Roger Dodger says, I usually enjoy a good troll every now and then, but the one in here is particularly annoying. Which one? Who's the troll? I didn't know we had any trolls in here. All right, guys. You guys are beautiful people. You're beautiful souls, every single one of you. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you for coming on in. You guys are awesome. And yeah, in case you missed it, there's the link for Liberal Dan. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you do subscribe or go out and tell the whole world to subscribe to the Trucker John channel. I can't say it enough. Subscribe, and subscribe. Let's get those subs up. Let's keep us going. And again, thank everyone for the super chats and the super stickers. Thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for being members, for all our members there, that our Truckiversaries that we had today. Thank you guys for that. And remember, we do have memberships for as low as $1.99 a month, and that's a great way to help support the show. And also, I just want to pop in and say hi to everybody real quick. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. And now I'm going to sing a little song. It goes a little something like this. No, actually, I'm not. I didn't prepare anything. I'm just kidding. But I'm feeling a bit verklempt. Is that a word? I don't know. Michael Myers used to say that. I don't even know what it means. I don't feel like yelling today. I don't feel like cussing and swearing. I just feel like saying how much I love you guys. That's right. Old tough cookie. There is a heart down there somewhere underneath all that old tough cookie dough. So I just wanted to say I love you guys and thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. We'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully, huh? Tomorrow? 9 a.m. tomorrow. Jesus Christ, that means I got to get up so fucking early. Trucker John, what are you doing to me? Why are you making me get up so early? All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, stop complaining, tough cookie, about the earliness. But you were nice. You did have some nice words. And again, guys, I just want to say thank you guys all so much for being here. You guys are awesome. And let's hang together, man, or else we'll hang separately. Boy, how's that for some encouragement and inappropriateness? But yeah, all I meant was, let's not give up the hope. Sometimes things can look bleak, and they can look, like there's no getting out of this. But if we just hang together, support one another, make sure we let our representatives know how we really feel, tell them to get up off their asses and resist. And Epstein files. That's all I got to say about that. Alrighty then. So those guys with their little 2 cents worth. All right, guys. So all that's left to do is the words of wisdom. So make sure you guys get a pen and pad and write this down. These are words of wisdom that actually we all work on these. Tough Cookie, Paul the Purple Beard Guy, myself, we work really hard on these words of wisdom. So I hope you guys appreciate them, and I hope you write them down and save them and refer to them as needed. Okay, so are you guys ready? Okay, at the count of 3, 3, 2, 1, here we go. Here's today's words of wisdom. All right, guys, so just always make sure.
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes, might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes, but if we did, I'd be only too glad. So hasta la vista, baby, that's not what I meant. But I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I try to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid. But doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the Trucker John live stream. No, this time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. Don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again.
Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food, the movies and bugs. Shining a light on all the social issues. No shows, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. In my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. So you wanna take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights, you've gotta learn to ignore the glitter. It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love. It's all about the thrills, it's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. the people that nobody knows. So go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road. Just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret. It'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. So damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life. Everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot. You're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Show's over, I'm out of here, folks. Bye.